Today we're back in Fulshear, Texas.
Yep.
We're gonna talk about the pros and cons of living here.
In Fulshear, Texas. And if you stay tuned, we're actually going to talk to people who live here to get firsthand knowledge about what they think is good and what is bad about Fulshear, Texas.
That's the way. If this is your first time in our channel and you want to know everything about Fulshear, Texas, please subscribe and tap that bell for notifications so you're gonna be the first one to know about everything.
We get calls every day from people just like you, and whether you're moving in 9 days or 9 months, we want to help make your move to Fulshear, Texas as smooth as possible. So let's go check out the pros and cons of Fulshear. So now that we're cozy inside this nice little cafe here in Fulshear, Texas, we're going to break down all the pros and cons. How funny enough that it's raining outside, it's forced inside, it's already appropriate for the video, right? So let's talk about the small town Fulshear is. And being in a small town, you have pros and you have cons, and it could be a very positive thing, it could be a very negative thing, right?
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to talk about what I think is a positive about being a small town, and maybe you can tell me what's a negative since you're a big city girl anyway.
Wow, big city.
She's not a big city girl. She's a suburb girl. I think being a small town, I came from a small town in North Carolina, so I love small towns. I think the big attraction about being in a small town is that everything feels like a community, everything feels very close together.
Yeah.
So just you feel like you're a part of something when you're here, and you don't feel lost or you don't feel too small like you probably would in a big city, right?
Big city. Downtown.
In downtown Houston, exactly like that.
Yeah, but I would say in the downside for that is that specifically in Fulshear, there is not too many places to go and have fun or to visit during the weekends or maybe clubs or nighttime life. So also that's the downside of Fulshear.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's not a lot to do. I think they're trying to implement more stuff to do as far as like, commercially, but we don't have there's no Fulshear movie theater. No. You have to go to Katie's or Richmond. There's no a children's museum like Sugarland has.
Definitely no.
Or no aquarium restaurant like downtown Houston. No NASA. This is you're here because you just want a certain lifestyle.
Yeah, it's wide open lots, more spaces, free houses, horses.
Yep.
Livestock.
There's tons of animals. I will say this just to bring up another con about being out here is that a lot of the wildlife, this is a pro and con though, a lot of the wildlife starts coming this direction as construction has been happening towards in town. So all of the Katy construction, all of the Richmond construction, which is kind of like the west side of Houston where we are, we're more west of that. So all of that kind of starts escalating this way. So whereas maybe 10 years ago you would have coyote or rabbits, which is fun, raccoons, stuff like that out there, they start moving in this direction. So I mean, Fulshear does a really good job of controlling as much as it can, but nonetheless, still going to be probably more wildlife out here, for better or for worse, than in other places too. Let's talk about the reality. And if you do this pros and cons of cities of Houston, we're going to say this con consistently. It'll be every single, some more than others. If we ever do Galveston, that's going to be a little extra when it comes to this subject. But every city is this to apply to. This, at the end of the day, it is hot. It is super hot and it is super humid. And even when it rains like this, you might think, oh, it's going to feel good the next day. It does not feel good the next day. It's just hot and wet now.
Even you can feel like it's winter inside because of AC. But if you go outside, you get that bomb.
Yes.
Fucking hot, humid.
Yep.
That you said, oh my goodness, it's so hot.
Can you believe that both of our hairs were straight when we left the house? And then we spent 3 I'm just kidding, I did it. Well, mine's a mess because of the rain. But it is very humid up here. It is super humid. So that is something that most people are not used to. I do get a lot of out-of-state clients from New Jersey, Montana, something a little bit more North Baltimore, where they're very used to the cold, and it becomes quickly a love-hate thing for them. They do really like the heat, or they just hate it.
Hate it.
We're used to it. I think I heard somewhere a long time ago, and this maybe may not be true anymore, but Houston as a whole is the most air-conditioned city
in the entire
nation. And I believe it.
I believe it too. And
But
I think
it's hot.
without air conditioning everywhere, I don't know how we will survive from here. In the positive side of that, of the heat and the humid, master plan communities make ACs and not also ACs like in the clubhouses, but swimming pools, splash pads, indoor playgrounds.
Yep.
So make it easy for us to
Have fun.
And
not have to die
from the heat.
Yeah, that's true. And I would say the biggest master plan that does one of my favorite jobs in this is Cross Creek, because Cross Creek has like tons of pools, like different sections of the communities. They'll just add another pool rather than having all these thousands of people try to collect themselves in one little pool. Do that, they'll just keep adding, and the pools here are no joke. Everything's bigger in Texas for a reason. So when I say pool, I don't just mean pool, I mean slides, I mean like splash pads, I mean like,
maybe lazy rivers
too,
lagoons.
Some of these neighborhoods in Houston, I don't think Fulshear has a lagoon just yet, but some other ones are sort of building lagoons. Basically, it's a fancy way of saying a giant beach inside the neighborhood. So we do have, culturally, we found a way to combat the heat and still have fun out here.
So when it comes to the price of living here in Fulshear, Texas, I would say that it's a little bit higher than many other places in Houston, specifically when we talk about house price.
Yeah, we're not talking about price of milk and eggs. Actually, as a matter of fact, I'm thinking about groceries and stuff like that. It's probably cheaper here than other areas, but homes are way more expensive. So
surprisingly for many people, like
yes, it'll throw you off, because most of the time when we think small town, we think of more affordable homes. But this is not your average small town. I would say contextually, a lot of the people here in Fulshear, some of the people that have been here for a long time, it's cheaper for them because they were here before it got popular. But this got popular because Katy started getting a little bit overpopulated, and they wanted somewhere else to move that wasn't towards the town. They still wanted that disconnected feeling and still be in the country, and people had these dreams of having a lot of land. So they started buying houses out here in Fulshear. And as a result, houses went up a lot. I mean, I remember when you can get a house here for $250,000, $300,000, and that would get you like an acre, and that'd be like 1,400 square feet.
Yeah.
But nowadays, what's the average price point here?
$500,000.
$500,000 is the average sales price out here. And I think it's not just because the land value went up too, it's because all of the communities.
And how Fulshear is growing like so fast, and they're doing so many developments and master plan communities that average goes up.
Correct,
really
and let's be fair. Like, some people might perceive that as being expensive. Now, obviously, if you're from California and New York, that's nothing
it's
for
affordable.
you. It's affordable. Yeah, you got that. You can do it twice.
Yeah.
But for most Houstonians who are used to 300,000, 400,000 being like the norm of a sales price, that's still very expensive. But just to defend this Fulshear a little bit, it's expensive because people keep paying that. If people weren't paying that, then it wouldn't be that expensive either. But unfortunately and fortunately, it's a lot. A lot has to do with how popular it's been recently. But there is a pro to that.
Which one?
The pro to it being much more expensive is that you do have way more options when it comes to what you get for your money. There are areas of Fulshear where $500,000 can get you 2 acres, and a small home that's a little bit older, or brand new home that's only 2,000 square feet, but the lot's a little bit smaller. So the pro would be that maybe you have a little bit more options than you would a traditional suburb area. And also, while the cost of houses are high, the cost of everything else is cheaper.
It's cheaper
out here. I mean, I just put gas in my car for $2.89, and I bet you everywhere else they're paying $3.15. And the more closer I get to downtown,
it's more expensive.
The more expensive it gets out here. But that does lead me to another con, because it is getting so popular, and because so many people are trying to move here. The positive would be that a lot of stuff's happening, but there's a lot more traffic happening.
Traffic and construction too.
Oh, construction, yeah. Unfortunately, the city of Fulshear has not. They're trying to keep up with the infrastructure, and they've done a lot of work with the infrastructure, with West Park Tollway coming all the way down here to get it wide, and they're then building Heritage Parkway so that people in Fulshear have another access to a major road like I-10. But
not only that, there is a plan with the city of Fulshear that they're gonna expand the old railroads that connects Fulshear with Austin. So that's a new one.
oh, that would be a good way to add more access to it. So their plans, it's just plans take time and they take money and they take a lot of people voting to approve those plans too at the same time. So if you do want to move to Fulshear, it's going to take you a little bit longer to get around than you were expected. And you're gonna have to move around because we're so disconnected. You have, nearest mall is probably Katy Mall, right?
Katy Mall.
How long do you think it would take to get there?
25 minutes?
Maybe 20, 25 minutes, yeah, which, first of all, Houston, we're used to that. No big deal.
No big deal. Yeah, but if you're a fan of Macy's, there is no.
Yeah, there's no Macy's. There's no
Close to
Macy's. I think they're planning on building a Target here pretty soon, but I haven't seen anything for that.
Target.
And the closest one is in Katy also. The closest two Targets are in Katy.
Yeah.
Katy has multiple Targets because they're a bigger city.
I think the closest one would be the one in West Diamond Parkway.
That would be the closest one, I think so too. Yeah, that is the closest Target, you're right. But at the end of the day, that's kind of the con, getting around. Now the positive is that if you're going to move out here in Fulshear, Texas, it's because you want a specific lifestyle, right? You want the lifestyle of being calm.
There are so many beautiful houses there.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So many, and so good builders over here.
Yep.
Love it.
We both have friends that move out here all the time. Even recently, you asked one of your friends recently about why they moved out here.
And they say that they moved here because they wanted that suburban life with access to school activities and extracurricular activities. And also, one of my friends she loved about Fulshear is, despite the fact that she was in Fulshear, their kids are going to Katy ISD.
Yeah. So there is sections of Fulshear where you can still get the benefits of Katy ISD school district. Now, for the record, I don't think that's going to last that long.
No, of course. Fulshear is growing so fast that they're going to build an old house and they will say, okay, Katy ISD is going to be in Katy and Fulshear is going to be in Lamar.
That actually makes me think of another con that it's no longer a con for me. And I think it's no longer a con for most people. And I have some of my buyers that can probably back me up with this. Is the con of Fulshear used to be that it used to be part of the Lamar Consolidated School District and not the coveted Katy ISD. So you'll have buyers like ones of your friends who they prefer being in Katy ISD, and I would say most people do prefer still being in Katy ISD. However,
Lamar is so good.
And they recognized that there was a distinction between the school districts, and they worked very hard to make sure that the Fulshear High School and that the Fulshear Middle School and Elementary Schools are on par academically than the Katy. And I would say to the point that it's already converted two of my buyers from wanting to be in Seven Lakes High Schools, which is like the best of the best, to being perfectly fine and happy with their kids being here in Fulshear High School. Fulshear High School, by the way, is brand new. It's probably like 2 or 3 years old at this point, right?
Another big pro that has Fulshear is property taxes. There are some houses, like let's say in the price one of $1 million, that the property taxes would be like pretty much close to 1%.
Yep, it's a big deal.
It's a big deal. And if we compare with other places, that same house, let's say in Katy, it would be around 2% or
even 3% if it's in a master plan community.
And we're talking about a difference of $20,000 a year
in
for that
property
same house, in property taxes for the same house.
Yep, and if you escrow your property taxes, that $20,000 divided over 12 months is like that's a lot of money. That's like $1,800, $1,700 a month difference on your payment just because of the property taxes. If you want to know why people are moving to Fulshear, that's probably one of the biggest things.
Yeah.
I would say that is a huge pro because there's plenty of high-end homes that have very low property taxes. So a lot of homeowners get to keep money in their pocket. Now, those same houses, just so you know, have like land. They have 2 or 3 acres. It's your ideal American dream.
Yeah,
where you
American dream.
you just want land. You want a house to be left alone. On the flip side of that, the master plan communities like Cross Creek, like Fulshear Run, like all of those that are coming out,
They don't have the same luxury.
they don't have the same luxury as that because here in Texas or in Houston mostly, we use a mud tax, which is basically, think of it as a taxable loan that the area takes to pay for the infrastructure, the utilities for the area, for the sewer, water, and stuff like that. That increases your property taxes more for those specific areas. So those houses don't get the 1.3, 1.2% property tax luxury. They'll get the 2.9, 3, sometimes even 3.2. I've even seen areas close to southern part of Houston, like close to Galveston, their mud tax and their fees go up to the 4s. That's a lot. You really want to live there if you're willing to pay 4% property taxes. But that's the con. The con is that there is a price to pay if you want to be in these newer infrastructure areas. It's the mud tax. However, the mud tax at the end of the day goes down.
Yeah, it goes down.
The more people move in, the faster it gets paid off, the lower the property taxes go.
Yeah, you'll be paying the future.
And there's places like Kate is a good example in Firestone where I remember where property taxes were 3.3, 3.4, and now they're low 2s because they basically paid off their mud completely.
Yeah.
Don't take our word for it. Something we want to do differently with these pros and cons is that we want to talk to the people who live here and see what they have to say about what they like,
What they don't like.
about living here in Houston. So let's go check that out.
The pro about living in Fulshear is most of my family lives here. Very close drive. There is places to eat, there is places to shop, but it's not too big to where you're always stuck in traffic, which is a very nice part. Now, there really is no negative about Fulshear, but the one thing is you wish you could just go right down the street, go to the H-E-B, go to the Kroger, go to the Walmart, but it's a little bit of a drive. I mean, not too bad, maybe 15, 20 minutes, and I'll take that. But most of it, it's all positive. It's beautiful. It's nice to have family that's close. So yeah, Fulshear's great.
I love living in Fulshear because of the small town community. You know your neighbors, and just the community involvement through the local Fulshear Katy chambers has been huge for business and personal. The biggest challenge maybe living in Fulshear is the growth, which we all love, but with growth is infrastructure and schools. I've had 5 kids through the system, and I've been able to experience Fulshear 15 years ago to now, and it's a little challenging, but we'll get there.
A pro about living in Fulshear is the small town feel of how small and close-knit community it is. And then a con of living in Fulshear is it is a small town and there's not quite a lot out here yet, but hopefully it's coming. I just moved to Fulshear to get out of the city life in Katy, get a little bit more out here in the country. I wanted to move to Fulshear because I loved the small town feel of it, but unfortunately one of the cons is we don't have that much stuff right now, so everything is a little bit of a hike to get to anywhere, but hopefully everything is going to be coming soon.
A pro about living in Fulshear is that we have a lot of academic opportunity here. I've been here for 12 years, been through the entire school system in Katy ISD, and because I was through that in high school, I was eligible and I took legal classes, and I had an internship at the Fort Bend County Courthouse, so that was really awesome, and I think that's definitely a huge pro of how I'm gonna get through my life. I had career experience, and a lot of kids don't have that if they don't live in Fulshear. So the con is that because a lot of people are here for the school districts, as soon as their kids grow up and graduate, they leave. So it's hard to make family friends and childhood friends because people typically move around.
That was really fun.
Yeah, that was cool. It's good to know all those. I mean, that was super interesting to hear from people like that.
Okay, but if you want to know more about the location of Fulshear, if you still don't get where is Fulshear located, make sure to watch this video here about it's a map video about Fulshear.
Yeah, just to get to know more about it. And honestly, the second best way, the best way to know about Fulshear is coming down here yourself. And that's what we're here for. So if you want to plan a trip to come out here in Fulshear and learn about what Fulshear has to offer, and you want to get first-hand experience, we're happy to give you guys a tour, show you around, see what Fulshear has to offer. Not just Fulshear, most people who want to check out Fulshear,
They want to check
Richmond and
Sugarland
and Katy, and we can just do that all at once. So thank you so much for watching us today. Please don't forget to subscribe and let us know in the comments if you are from Fulshear, something you do like about Fulshear, or maybe something you don't like about Fulshear, and if there are other areas you want to know pros and cons about.
We're here.
See ya.